Alright, so normally I have these sped up to about 150%. This one is not. I am very not sorry for making you to watch this in slow motion because this was painful to run for so many reasons. So, first room we go into, you're like, oh, that doesn't look too bad. It's a Karybdis room. Let's go smash Karen in her face. We don't like her that much anyway. So, start flying in. However, let's look at that. Oh my god. Can anyone else see all of the stupid yeet clouds over behind the gate? It's like, ugh. This is not going to be great. Also, there's like a billion dissipators. And this is still my guy who has a negative cap on his pills because I don't bother re-rolling them for tier 5s. So we go in. We're going to focus all of those dissipators first. Not super worried about it. However, you can see that Karybdis is going right for that yeet cloud, which I'm not a fan of. Low on cap, we can deal with that. Obviously, we have cap boosters, plus we still have the ADC, plus we're still not super worried about most of them. I'm going to take out that Triglavian cache. I can use drones on the dissipators because they're close to me. They're not over by where Karybdis is going to fly through that stupid thing. 113 million in that cache. Beauty. And we're going to use drones as much as possible. And you can see me looking around. There's Karybdis up there, 40 kilometers away, further away than when I started. I'm going to get reps on my ult, who's taking some shots from Karybdis. Not super hard or destructive shots, but you definitely want to have somebody repping Karybdis if they're being shot at. Especially when you're playing keep away and you're trying to not fly in a stupid yeet cloud like that. Look at that. That's terrible. So anyway, at this point in time, I changed the way I was aligning. Because I don't want to go into that yeet cloud until these dissipators are dead. I don't want somebody going and getting zero capped as they fly out the abyss. That's a terrible way to go. So we're going to take out the dissipators first, and then we're going to go for Karybdis and work our way through. So this has killed me more than a few times. Karybdis going to the edge with the yeet cloud. My guys are following me. I'm starting to change my tactics a little bit here, and it'll work for... I'm going to try it out in tier 6 as well. So I have my AB off, and I'm going to orbit Karybdis, and Karybdis is still 30-some kilometers away, which is unfortunate. But I'm going to have all of my characters orbit Karybdis individually, so I don't have one fly out, turn around in the abyss, and then two fly further out and turn around in the abyss. Don't want that happening. So off we go. I did take a little bit of damage. I wasn't super happy about that, but I mean, you can pulse your AB at this point. The one being shot at, you can manually pilot like I am here, so you don't get shot at as much. But you don't want them to hit that yeet cloud and then fly super far to the abyss, and then have to mostly approach Karen to get back in and die. It's a terrible way to go. So we got her here. We got some shots on her. I wasn't sure if I'd be able to switch ammo, because if the yeet cloud was straight over to where Karybdis is, you have to go with Mystic because trying to stay in range is problematic. And there we go. We are now getting under Karybdis's guns, and if we want to, we can switch ammo because we're in a position to do it. Pretty sure I did. Come on, tell me I did. Maybe? Did I think about it? There we go. Switching to occult. Not so much yeet cloud right beside Karybdis, so it's higher DPS. I switched the other two first. They ramp up higher. They're more DPS. I definitely use them first. Now, we still left a few of the fealties so that we can kill them at the end on the way back, so that we aren't just flying through space doing nothing. We're still getting damage in. Karybdis is shield tanked, so once that shield's gone, this just becomes a ton easier. And down that goes. Now, I don't always recommend doing this, but Nergals at least can take a little bit more of a hit than Hawks can, so I'm switching to head towards the transfer conduit now. As you can see, that's kind of aiming me straight towards one of those clouds. Switching over to Mystic so I can start shooting these guys on my way. Except I hit a cloud, so there's no point. Believe that runs out. There it goes. But we're just going to go to the gate and sit on the gate and wait for the next room. Other than that, it was not... No, this was all horrible. It's all horrible. Just wait for the rest of it. This room wasn't that bad after that. I brought drones out. The Deviant was too far away to bother me. Just cleaning up like five guys was not bad at all. It's like I went for a burger or something. Unfortunately, it's not that interesting talking about killing a few fealties at the end of the room. I'm also still not sorry, though. So, Karybdis, Yeet Cloud, one of the banes of my existence in Firestorms. Still going to have to figure out exactly how I want to do... What the hell did I select color for? Anyway, still going to have to figure out how I want to do that for the future tier 6s. By the way, it looked like I lost 3 drones there. I'm kind of curious to see what happens in this. Returning. In my bay. Okay, cool. And we get a devoted room. Because, you know, what's better than Karybdis besides getting a devoted room right afterwards? So I pondered my poor life choices in tier 5s. Marked up the devoted knights, marked up those guys, the heralds. Heralds ruin your range, and this is where I did die on one of my tier 6s, and I realized what my mistake was. Is I tried to stay further away, and I really need to get in range and just tank as best I can, and either live or die. Where last time I tried to stay at 30, but the heralds made it so I couldn't hit anything, and I ran out of everything before I could do anything. It was terrible. But heralds have to die first, because you cannot shoot, even with your mystic, until a couple heralds are dead. So those guys are my first target. My other 2 guys do have them in range, and they go down pretty quick. So once you start getting them down, it's not so bad, but you have to be able to get them down. See, now one's gone, and I can shoot the rest of them with all of my guys. Perfect. Next we're going for the smith. There's enough newts in here with the knights that if you can take the smiths out, perfect. You're not dealing with as much newt heavy. You can pop your cap boosters, you're fine. Make sure you have your other 2 characters targeted so that you can give them quick reps if they need them, because those knights can hit fairly hard in here. So it is something to stay aware of. And you may have to switch them around a bit. Once you have a couple of the knights down, it's really not so bad. So I switched to orbit 10 around the second knight. I got my reps on my other character so that he's not in any trouble. And he's going back up, so he's fine. DPS, however, don't have an ADC to protect them. This guy does. Now, at this point, it's largely under control. We don't like the priests. The lookouts don't matter because I'm not far enough away for them to bother with sensor dampening me. Hawks, they matter a bit at the start. You just take them out with your 2 DPS and your tank just can't shoot for a minute. Does not matter for these guys. Jackdaws, they're fantastic. They're the most useless thing ever. You have such a high range in sharpshooter, plus you're unaffected by a lot of the ECM that you are not concerned about the lookouts. Okay, so all the knights are dead. All that's left is cleaning up, grabbing the loot, and going to the next room. The most interesting, most boring part of the room. Seeing what I get for loot. And 44 with Veli's Heavy, which we checked earlier. That's worth about 35 million or so. 25 to 35 million, rather. The super title, which is the Leshik one, is worth less, but the Vedmak, Damovic, Dracovic one's worth pretty good. It's almost like Dracovics and Vedmaks are useful for something. By those, I mean Icky Terses or Draugrs. Alright, so that's done. Getting ready for the next room. Bring drones in. Make sure they come in this time. It was a little close last time. I actually thought I had lost them. It looked like I did. And we're going to the last room. I mean, you know, we've already had a Yeet-clad Karybdis and a Devoted. What's the worst that could happen? To be fair, this actually isn't the worst. But, you know, Cinnables just kind of make you cower a little bit in fear if you're used to running Hawks, which Hawks are my main thing. So, while I can run these, you know, it's still not the most pleasant thing to see Cinnables. But they're really not that bad in Nergals. It's not a huge threat. You can easily tank them. Again, you have to make sure you end up having your guys targeted by the end of it, just in case they switch targets and too much DPS starts coming in. Obviously, you need the remote reps. If you can use drones, always use your drones. And we're going to take the Cinnables, then the Elite Cinnables, because once those guys are dead, there's a lot less newts, a lot less damage coming in. So, I barely got to start shooting this guy, and he was pretty well dead. So I started getting closer to the number 1 Elite, and started shooting him, drones on him. These guys will shoot your drones, so at some point in time you're going to want to bring them in like I did here. And you'll see a couple of them just kind of make their way in. And we're going to finish up the Cinnables. One of my guys is taking some damage there. I got reps on him. However, these guys split a little more evenly than what the Knights do. The Knights will all switch to the same target at the same time. These guys will switch to one target or the other target. They won't usually shoot the same guy. So one will shoot my tank, one will shoot my DPS. Leaves a lot of leeway and fairly even DPS incoming that you can handle it pretty good. And also, you can throw around your reps. You can move your reps between each other, and that helps a lot too. So we're getting the second Cinnabal is going out of shield. He goes down pretty quick at that point, and we're not too worried about anyone from there on. So the rest of this room is going to be cleanup at this point. It's good to kill the elite Dramiels and the Dramiels first. Fury is also another good one. Oh, what's the other one? There's another Weber. I don't have any of them here. Anyway, I'm sure somebody will probably throw it in the comments. But Dramiels, Elite Dramiels, and the Furies are usually my next one. Ixion is a tiny bit annoying for these guys. You usually either have to throw on Meson or kick your drones out for them. In this case, I wasn't worried about my drones. There's just the one short-range deviant, so I end up using those guys a little later on. And it's cleanup. There shouldn't, and I use the word liberally, shouldn't, be any huge issue. However, be aware, if you have a significant amount of elite Dramiels, or a significant amount of Dramiels, while in small numbers they're not too dangerous, in big numbers they are. I've had rooms where I'm like, oh, my Hawks aren't going to have any problem here. There's only like one or two Cinnabals. You get locked down by enough elite Dramiels, you're not moving, you're taking full damage even in Darks. Again, these guys shouldn't, love my keywords, shouldn't have too much trouble. Tier 6s can be fairly random sometimes, and you do have to watch those. Echoes. It was the Echoes that will web you.
I don't know that one.
Damn it. Anyway. So you can see there, Ixion has some drones on it. My wife is laughing at me. And we ran out of cargo space for the loot. So I had to kind of split it up a little bit between my two characters. I popped a Cap Booster just to get rid of the space. They use up quite a bit of space, and they're not super expensive. Needless to say, when you're looting 200 million from various caches, it's not usually a huge concern. There was still 4 million left of the ZPC. I like my crafting material, so I grabbed that on my ult. And we headed towards the gate. This one took about 15 minutes total. I'll see if the Abyss Tracker came back up or not. And I'll wait till we see what the total amount of loot was, and we'll go from there. But as you can see, 15 minutes of the worst rooms ever. And I think I even have time for my last one. Okay, so loot. Select all, then I have to unselect my 7 things. I definitely count them every single time. 233. I don't normally jettison stuff, but I want to give you an accurate amount. It's going to be 227, obviously, since there's about 4 million in ZPC. Probably see the change here. There, yep. And there's my loot for that dropped in. See you for the next one.